Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. To start out this episode, we're going to look at our connection here in Louisville and maybe just simplify things to make this intersection run a little bit smoother. Now, this was recommended by someone in the comments, and I think it makes sense as a roundabout will help to keep our traffic flowing, and this should help people coming off of the highway get into the city much easier without having to go around the roundabout and then having to stop again right afterwards at an intersection. So we'll come here and get a decently sized roundabout in here. I think 30 is about good. So we'll do that. And then connect up these side roads, which we might have to delete and redo a good portion of just to get the slopes to work. We gotta turn off the bus lane. This one, I think we're gonna have to delete it. Which stinks because we have to also replace that bus stop. So we'll do that quickly before we forget. Place down the bus stop. We'll do it here at this intersection. And then what we can do is grab our highways back and get them back and connected to how they were before. And then we just have this little connection to make right there, and everything should be back to how it was functioning before. Now what we will do is delete this intersection so that more cars can queue up for the intersection here, which will hopefully provide less traffic later on as they're able to disperse much more easily into Louisville. So then we'll turn on player ownership on all this so it doesn't get built on or changed around or anything. So I think we'll even do it on these side roads, and we'll leave it like this. So we'll have to come back and see how it functions later on, but we can see a lot of the traffic leaving Louisville is slowly making its way through this mountain as getting into Clearwater becomes just a little bit easier. It's still not perfect yet, but I think these side roads we added are taking a lot of the demand off of just the highway. But so hopefully this new connection will begin to see this traffic start to ease its way up, and we'll be able to clear up this intersection then as well. So next, quickly, I want to check in on Santa Clara and some of what we added a few episodes ago, and it looks like some of the lines we added are generating demand. There are people waiting and people getting on the buses, as we can see here. And the roads we've added are very clearly getting used by a good amount of people, as this connection seems to have become very popular. We might have to fix things up around here to ease this, but I guess for now we can leave it alone, see if things balance out. Maybe it's just a influx in demand, not too sure. And maybe even what we could do is just grab these two roads quick and connect them, as they seem pretty aligned and would probably make a connection eventually. So we can do that. Hopefully that'll help out a little bit. And as for our other connection, that also seems to be getting used, as we can see cars beginning to queue up down here for these traffic lights, which we're happy to see the demand, but obviously if they're getting backed up like this, there are other issues that we need to fix as well. Alright, now the next thing I want to do is take a look at this line, and I think this one definitely could use an upgrade. I think looking around at some of these stations, we do have some demand for this line, and it's been a while since we've upgraded it, but there's definitely some demand upgrades that we can make to get these trains to be a little more profitable as they go around through here. I'm not sure why they're all sort of bunched up on this end, but we'll come in here and manage the vehicles, and we will replace them. We'll replace them with a similar train that we've been running. This one seems to be pretty cheap and efficient. So just one of these engines and a couple of these bi-level cars, and we're able to get up to top speed in almost no time with the same amount of capacity and probably slightly less running costs as well. So I'm debating whether to go with 3 or 4 cars just so we can get up to our top speed quicker. And I think we might go with 3. Let's just see how much that adds. That does add a little bit, and both ends of this are pretty steep. So I think we'll go with 3 cars for now. We will keep an eye on it. If it gets bad, or if there's more demand, we can just always add 1, and it shouldn't be terrible. Plus we have 10 trains on this line, so running shorter trains more frequently will also help offset the balance of some of these. Alright, and now I think what we're going to do is just go through and upgrade some really old trains that we see. Some of them are still running steam engines, which, as much as I love steam engines, they're definitely no longer efficient or even really worth it. So first things first is this line that takes fuel from here and takes it into Corpus Christi. So what we'll do is just manage this, come in and replace it, and we'll go with these engines as they're fairly cheap, and this train isn't going to be handling much, so we should be okay tossing 4 or 5 tank cars behind it, and it should be able to get up to its top speed. Not terribly long, 3 minutes on a high speed, on a high slope track, but a lot of it down here is flat, so it should be able to reach its top speed before it even gets up there. And then of course next we have this vehicle, which we'll pretty much do the same thing with. We'll find a pretty decent cargo engine that we could use. I think we might go back to these, as they're not that bad. This one we might want to go with 2 of them on one line, just because they might be hauling slightly longer trains. So we'll come find the tank cars, and we'll add 6 cars to that, where we'll get up to top speed pretty quick. And if we take 1 away, it's still not bad, actually. So let's just go with 1. So now we've increased the top speed a good bit. I believe the old top speed was 50 miles an hour. Now these trains can go up to 80. That was probably much needed improvement there. It'll take a while for those trains to get up to speed, but once they're there, they'll pretty much just stay there. So that's good to see. Hopefully we'll see that reflected in production later on. And as for the next area we're going to look at, pretty much going to be upgrading every train on this line here, as they're all running with steam engines. They are very profitable, but again, we can probably make a little more money if we replace them with slightly better trains. So I'll start here with this steel train, and I think we'll replace them both with this. We have slightly lower capacity because our top speed is a little bit faster. So actually, because these cars have a top speed of 99 miles an hour, I think what we could do is just grab one of our newer engines. So if we maybe go with something more along this, well, that one maybe not so much, but if we go with the engine we've been using for a while, that one gets us up to top speed pretty quickly. I don't know if there's really any other better engines we can use for this type of use. Of course, there's no electric path, so let's see if maybe there's a diesel train we can build that wouldn't be quite as bad. Alright, so we'll go with this train. This very well could be a bad idea, doing two engines, but we'll see how it goes, and if it does go bad, we'll just remove one of the engines. We'll sacrifice some time in that case for better running costs, but we'll stick with that for now, see what happens. Hopefully they'll be able to reach their top speed over that short distance, so that'll be a huge plus if it can. And then the next line is these iron ore trains, and that will come in and replace. So for this line, we will use two of these engines with 5 gondola cars. Getting up to a top speed of 100 miles an hour, we don't need quite as much capacity yet again, so we'll go with that. So hopefully we'll be good there. And then I believe the last train that we need to upgrade is our coal train. So these will come through and replace. And for these, we will go back to these 80 mile an hour diesel engines. So actually what we're going to use is one of these engines. Top speed's only 75 miles an hour, but it can carry a lot of cars behind it for a pretty cheap price. So we'll just go through and replace those. And it should be able to carry much more, a little bit quicker. So we'll stick with that. We'll adjust any demand if we need to, as it does look like coal is probably the thing it needs more. So we might actually come in here and tag on a few extra cars onto the back of these. If we can do 2 more on each one, we'll do that. And that should be it for this whole production chain. And one thing I just noticed looking here, we still have the lower speed tracks on here, so these trains can't even get up to their top speed. So we're just going to come through here quick and upgrade all of these tracks to high speed tracks so that they can take full advantage of the engines that we put on them. So all these tracks have now been upgraded to high speed tracks, where now our trains will be able to reach their fullest potential and highest top speed. So we see some of these going. This one's almost at its top speed already, so that's good to see. Everything should be good here. We'll have to come back later and just check in on it, make sure everything's working, making sure our steel is getting shipped out enough, but other than that, we're all good. Alright, so I think that's pretty much going to be it for upgrading our trains. We do still have some steam engines running, but those are ones that are making us a lot of money, so I don't really want to touch those, as we might end up making them worse if we change around the train and increase the running costs or anything else like that. So for now we'll leave them alone, as they seem to be doing just fine by themselves. And I think that's it for trains. Now that is going to be all for this episode, so if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.